Hey everybody, thanks for coming to watch. We've got guys an update on a massive severe weather event that is expected to move through the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. And we're going to be talking about big time impacts with the system that's moving through the Northwest, but it will be moving through the central and eastern United States, bringing some very, very dangerous impacts to some areas. I got all the details coming right up. All right, so thank you all for joining me here on this Monday night. We've got a lot to talk about in this video. We're going to be breaking down the severe weather event only. We're not going to be talking about what's going forward into March because tonight I have school tomorrow, and so we're back in the swing of things, and also I had some homework. So I just want to break down the severe weather event to get the last final details on the storm. And then maybe an update tomorrow, but this update is just focusing on the severe weather going just happening right now. My schedule may get a little bit busier towards the end of the week. So my uploading just frequency may get a little bit less active than it was over break, obviously. So just to give you guys a heads up on that. But let's get right into the video. So take a look here at your current radar. It's glitching out a lot. But if you could see, you've got a lot of energy, which is your storm system that's currently moving across the Pacific Northwest. And it's actually already flowing in our direction to the central and eastern United States with this cold front that's moving in behind it and kind of pushing this out to sea. And your trough, your bowling ball is going to be really just heading right through the southwest, and that's basically how just all the elements are going to line up and create this big system. So let's get rocking and rolling here. We're taking a look at your current alerts, and we are very active, but it's not that with like the storm system, the alerts yet. I think definitely by tomorrow morning, this map is going to be this map is going to look a lot more filled in the central United States, at least with more storm related alerts. But the West is active right now. This is what's going on in the West. This is that same storm system, just for in the pre stages. But you've got winter storm watches all the way up here into the mountains of California and Oregon. Winter storm warnings in your pink shade. This is really throughout a lot of this area. In your purple shade, you've got winter weather advisories. But this is the main story, is the winds. It's been so windy with this system, especially just out in the west, and you can see in this tan shade, this is where we have wind advisories, and wind advisories actually have been issued not only for the west. All right, I don't want to go over all these areas because it's too many different isolated areas, but I just want to make sure you guys know what color that is, just in case if you want to see if you're under that alert already. But look at this into Tennessee here and into southern Illinois, southern Indiana, and then here are portions of western Kentucky, and then here the boot heel of Missouri. We have wind advisories as well. There's an elevated fire risk today because remember, we are very hot. It's so above average, these temperatures right now, because your moisture feed is super strong and you inside the warm sector already. So you are in the hundreds if you're down here in like central and southern Texas. But even up into this area, we're still getting into the 70s and 80s. So with the dry conditions ahead of our storm system, and with the gusty winds, and with the hot conditions, you have an elevated fire risk. And so that brings us here to our pink shade, where we have a red flag warning going out here for portions of central and western Oklahoma, southern Kansas. All right, you've got southwestern Missouri. And this goes kind of through central Texas, and we actually do have, I believe, two major wildfires burning at the moment. We've got one in Texas, and we do actually have a wildfire warning, or just a fire warning. I'm not sure how they put it. Yep, fire warning right here. I think for one county in Texas right now, there is a fire burning in Texas. All right, but this is why we have this is why we have red flag warnings up. I know it seems like a very minor and almost sometimes annoying alert because it's during the summer, at least it's up all the time, you think, in the Southwest, but it's very important because things like this can happen. And then the second fire I was talking about up into Nebraska, there's a civil emergency message that's been issued just because of how bad that fire is, and you actually have extreme fire danger just alert. All right, I don't know what county that is in because it's a very rare alert, so it's only for one, maybe even a part of a county. But yes, very dangerous fire day today. Very big fire hazards. You've got winter storm warnings up here into northern Minnesota. This is for that storm system out ahead of it. You got wind advisories for South Dakota and southwestern Minnesota, and extreme western Iowa, and extreme northeastern Nebraska. In this gold shade, you got high wind warnings. This is going out for northern Texas, and then off towards the Panhandle, and then up towards New Mexico. And then that's pretty much it for your alerts. But you got a lot of winter weather alerts out here. It looks pretty jumbled up, but this is pretty much the gist of it. And also you do have some wind chill advisories going out for just the northern counties of Montana, because that cold front, the bulk of that cold front, is starting to move in. So you're gonna experience those very windy conditions and also the very chilly temperatures. All right, so let's move on here. Let's get rolling with our NAM 3 kilometer model. Let's get going here with your just your outlook for the storm system. So now we're in the short range. This is happening tomorrow, guys. This storm is real. It's going to happen, and here we go. All right, so this is 7 a.m. tomorrow. You're waking up tomorrow. It's a brand new day, and you're sunny for most areas. All right, but look at this in the Midwest. We already have activity. So what happened last night is the models, I think, intensified this very slightly. And so what we're looking for with the severe weather event is we're looking for prefrontal supercells, which will be in the form of bubbles of intense red and oranges on the NAM. Those are the prefrontal supercells that will be discrete and rotating. Those are the tornado makers. Those are the only storms that you'll see on this map that will create a tornado risk. Other storms, it's going to be either damaging hail or damaging winds. All right, but look at this. You already got storms that are marching their way across the really Ohio and then off towards Michigan here and West Virginia, but these will be strong to severe. And I do think that even though this is outside that slight risk, I mean, some of these areas, I think some of these storms could definitely pack a punch. This would be damaging wind gusts and just very strong. I do just very windy conditions, but very I don't know how to put it, but like very heavy rainfall with these storms. All right, and so if these storms do appear to be rotating, which we'll have to figure out that tomorrow morning. And if you look at the SBC homepage, they'll have like discussions. All right, and they'll actually let you know if these storms will be rotating. Just give you the latest details on the environment for these storms. But if they're rotating, that will be a severe weather, a tornado threat. My goodness, I cannot speak today. But that will be for 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. These times are in Eastern time, so I don't know if you guys, I think you guys actually might not be in Eastern time, so I don't know if it's like 2 hours back or something, but this would be sometime in the morning, so right around when everyone's waking up. But your low pressure right here is a 989 millibar low. It's not looking like it's doing much, but remember, the models had this storm system being like just a very weak storm, but a strengthening storm all the way up until this thing passed through the Great Lakes, and then at the last moment it just exploded with activity. That's what we're gonna see. But we have a lot of snow on the north side of this thing too. We can't leave each other out here, and we gotta talk about everybody. But our folks here up here into northern Minnesota dealing with a big winter storm. Same thing for North Dakota, because you're behind this 540 line. So any energy that you got up here is going to be snow, and the fact that we have a just an intense band of energy, which would be in the form of snow. I mean, you're going to get a substantial winter storm. This continues all morning, and then we get into the afternoon. You got a lot of storms and just rainfall and activity, convection in the front side of this, because look how far away and off to the east of that low is. That's a good sign for tornadoes and just all hazards for severe storms. Because the fact that you're getting convection early in the morning is also a good sign. That means that the atmosphere is just ready and waiting for the afternoon and daytime hours to come. And here we go. This is 1 p.m. Eastern time. So we're nearing afternoon. And watch these storms right here. Look at these showers. These will soon be supercells. Watch it. All right, but this is your cold front. This is your dry line that's coming in to sweep through and kind of just block these storms and force them to stop forming. But can it happen in time? Well, that's what we're going to find out. So this low is kind of it's slowing down. It's not stalling out completely, but it's slowing down very considerably. And boom, this is when you get some action. You actually start to see a line of storms form really to the south of this low pressure center. This is starting to become negatively tilted, but what you've got is a very long, snaky line of storms really going all the way up from the Great Lakes of Michigan down all the way through central Illinois, which it doesn't appear to be that strong in Illinois, but right by St. Louis, we got a band of heavy thunderstorms. To the north of you guys, the northwest, you've got heavy frozen precipitation. You got a frozen mix of sleet and heavy freezing rain into northern Missouri, and then even farther north, even into extreme northern Missouri, behind that 540 line, you're experiencing heavy wet snow. So interesting to see that. But this line continues to get stronger, and at this point, we're getting all the way to Wednesday night. All right, so I mean, this here is tomorrow. All right, this is tomorrow afternoon. We don't have any activity yet, although we're off to the west. Off to the east. That's the only activity we have. It's very slight. All right, so it's actually going to take until Wednesday on the NAM to get these storms going, which is interesting because if you look at the SPC outlook, if you look at the SPC outlook, the threat for severe weather is for tomorrow, but the NAM just doesn't want it to happen until Wednesday. Because look at this. It finally happens. It's happened late tomorrow night is when this thing starts to get going. But this is Wednesday morning at this point, and this is when your storms are finally just starting to ramp up in this area. But you've got a heavy band of sleet, very heavy freezing rain moving through central Illinois, and then behind it, with that cold front that's just rapidly approaching. It's getting stronger by the minute. You got snowfall back here into eastern Iowa, and that's going to be replacing the thunderstorms and the heavy rain showers, all right, that were moving through these areas before, and that's basically what's going to be happening. But you can see that by the time we get to already, this is 4 in the morning, this will be most likely an overnight severe weather threat. And you may be thinking, how can this be an overnight severe weather threat in February? Well, it's just the thing is that we have such high above average temperatures that it will still be the temperatures will still be high enough and favorable for severe thunderstorm activity. And if we look at our temperature shaded here, look at this. We're still in the 50s, and some people are down in the 60s already. And this is 4 in the morning. So this is like the middle of the night, and you're in the 60s. So that's how warm it is, and that's how unseasonably warm it is already. And so the fact that these temperatures may continue to increase, especially if you're off to the east, is just a bad sign if you're looking for the minimal threat for severe thunderstorms. But you've got now the changeover to winter storm mode for northern and central portions of Illinois all the way up to Wisconsin. Starting to see here towards the Great Lakes coast of Michigan up to the UP of Michigan, starting to see that change over to sleet and then heavy snow. But you've got a quasi-linear convective system that's developing here really throughout the border of southeastern Illinois, southwestern Indiana, that's kind of going down here through southern Illinois and then into extreme southeastern Missouri, so right by the boot heel. You've got a very long line of just damaged wind gusts, a squall line here, and this would most likely be producing the strongest wind gusts that you would see with throughout the system. So I think that the majority of the damaged wind gust reports that we receive tomorrow and then into Wednesday, I think that it's actually going to be really anywhere from southern Illinois, southern Indiana, all the way down through Missouri and Kentucky, and then maybe down into Tennessee. I think because that's going to be the area that's going to see that's going to be the hardest area from this damaged wind gust line. But notice how we're still on a Wednesday morning. This is 7 in the morning, Wednesday morning Eastern time. But you've still got these developing supercells and these thunderstorms. These will be rotating. You see they're a little bit curvy here. You got rotation. You got rotating thunderstorms. And we'll click for sounding, all right? Because I want to look at a photograph here. All right? We're going to go into kind of weather geek mode. All right? But we're going to be breaking this down. All right? So what I want you guys to look up is up here. This is your photograph. You see how this is a very curved line here, or at least it's a little bit curved. You see this red line, it's curved? This is rotation, what you see here. These are your lower level winds. But the fact that you're seeing rotation getting this close to the ground, because the ground level is right here, but you're seeing rotation get very close to the ground, that's a sign for tornadoes on your photograph. All right, dew points, very nice. They're getting higher than your temperatures, which is actually pretty high. It's pretty unlikely that you're going to see that, but we do actually see these dew points getting right up around 60 degrees, maybe a little bit higher. And then getting up to the atmosphere, you can see we have very high dew points. And then this is your cape, this dashed line here. You want this cape line to be as far away from this temperature line as possible. It's not that far away, but you got pretty high cape levels, and this is in western Ohio. So remember, this is not in the center of the severe zone that we're watching for. But you still got decent, photographs, decent sounding, just decent images that we just saw there. But still bubbly looking thunderstorms, strong to severe storms possible, supercells possible, already by 10 a.m. on Wednesday. My goodness. And then this is moving out, and then this forms maybe a second line of storms. It's interesting to see that, but look at this. It's going up from upstate New York down through western PA and then like central West Virginia. I mean, this is very strange, but the NAM wants these storms to continue to the interior Northeast, and I find that interesting. And if that's a possibility, I mean, we gotta check in on you guys, and that's just not gonna be good. And then we're gonna head into Thursday, and we'll see what happens beyond that. All right, so cape levels. All right, we're looking at your cape levels here for the Midwest. This is basically thunderstorm juice. It's your it's basically how much energy is left in the atmosphere. Not well, also energy, but also moisture kind of mixed together, just left in the atmosphere to develop and form those thunderstorms. So what you want is really any cape levels over 1,000 joules per kilograms is considered cape that I think would be high enough to support non-severe thunderstorms. And if you get over really 1,500 joules per kilograms, that's when you can deal with severe thunderstorms. And already, this is by tomorrow morning, like very early tomorrow morning. Look at this into central Illinois. You see these little lighter colors of pinkish purple. I mean, we're getting into like right around the 1,500 range, and we already have an atmosphere that's unstable but also loaded with enough juice and energy that we can see supporting of those thunderstorms, and these could definitely be severe. But watch as these cape levels will continue to rise, and this is when we get started. This is tomorrow. This is that severe threat the SPC is picking up on, because look at these cape levels. Look at these cape levels. These very light, these lighter pink, like purples and into pinks here. We're approaching 2,000 joules per kilograms of cape. If somebody actually can see a unstable environment in the atmosphere, but also with these levels of cape, my gosh, I mean, you have a legit threat for some big time, severe weather, damaging hail, damaging winds, tornadoes. That's going to be a big threat. But look at this, getting very high and strong into central Illinois. I'm watching for south central and central Illinois to get over 2,000 joules per kilograms of cape. Let's click for another sounding here. Look at our photographs. All right. Yeah, look at these cape levels. I mean, this is a very good sounding here. You've got temperatures. Look at this, 72 degrees. Too warm. All right, it's too warm. Rotation, not very great. I mean, this is not a good photograph. I mean, this would definitely be probably a super cell, but you don't have. It doesn't look like you have the best rotation with this. But I think that definitely these cape levels perfect, and these temperatures and dew points pretty good as well. So not a bad sounding there. But this gets even stronger. Look at that. That's like 2,400 joules per kilograms, maybe a little bit higher. Oh my gosh, we are getting up to about 3,000 joules per kilograms cape into central Illinois. I think that this is actually going to be the high severe threat, but I think also the tornado threat. I just looking at the NAM, I just do think that it's going to be throughout Illinois. It's going to be throughout western Missouri. This could actually impact the St. Louis area, and then going all the way up to northern and really northwestern Indiana. I think that might be where the high severe threat will be. When do those really high cape levels persist? When do they finish? Or still at like late night tomorrow night. All right, because remember, this is still Tuesday. Now we're getting into Wednesday here, and we still got cape levels getting above 1,000 joules per kilograms. But really nothing that's too crazy, nothing that can really support any big time severe thunderstorms. But I mean, that is a pretty wild scenario there on the NAM to see those numbers get all the way up to about 3,000 joules per kilograms. You look at the 18Z, and the 18Z actually is even stronger but it's farther south, which is interesting to see that. And we'll click for one more sounding here, and you get a little bit more rotation. Perfect. Just imagery here with the dew points and the temperatures very high, very moist, unstable conditions. This is going to be an environment that's going to be very favorable for severe weather, but it's that cold front that's going to continue to try and diminish that threat for severe weather once we get into Wednesday and then Thursday as the system moves out. So, how about the Northeast? We got to check in on you guys just in case we're expecting anything that's going to disrupt daily life. All right, so this is 9 p.m. on Tuesday. All right, this would be for you guys Eastern time, so these are your times here. 9 p.m. Tuesday, and you got storms. This is showers and thunderstorms that are kind of just moving their way through New England, southern New England. Some of these tiny bubbles, I don't think would be any thunderstorms, but if they would be non-severe thunderstorms, but just isolated heavy rain showers moving through the area. And you got a lot of energy on the backside, so you're just going to have a wet and soggy day late Tuesday. But now we get an overnight Wednesday, and you got storms that are trying to ignite here across southern New England, which is interesting because, southern New England, you guys are supposed to be getting a feet of snow. It's February. It's like nor'easter time. It's just too warm, and you may end up with thunderstorms, non-severe at this point, but you got maybe strong thunderstorms potentially up here into New England. This would be moving through like areas just to the north of Long Island into Connecticut, Massachusetts, maybe all the way up to New Hampshire, Vermont. You don't know, but if we'll look at the Cape, all right, and we don't have any noticeable Cape, but I do think that there. I wouldn't count on any severe threat, but non-severe thunderstorms are definitely possible. But then watch as this line comes through, and this is 3 p.m. on Wednesday. This is your Wednesday afternoon. This is when things get a little wild. All right, you've got a pretty nasty looking line of storms that would be producing damage wind gusts. This squall line is what's pretty concerning, right where the north central PA and south central New York State border meets. This is where you may actually end up with a damaged wind gust line, quasi-linear convective system. All right, and then behind it, you got this cold front that's just racing across this area, and that's actually bringing some wintry precipitation into extreme western PA, western New York. But does this line segment break up? Well, it kind of does, and these are definitely non-severe thunderstorms, but you'll have a period of very strong wind gusts. This is like right after dinner time for you guys on the East Coast, and it gets pretty intense right here in the Western Mass. Look at that. All right, very intense with snowfall actually right behind it. This will be an intense round of storms for some of you in southern New England and into the Northeast, but will it bring damaging wind gusts or not? I don't know. I think it might. I think it's definitely going to bring gusty winds, but damaging winds, we don't know. We just got to figure it out. We'll look out what happens tomorrow morning. But, this is offshore, but still, you've got a massive line of storms. And on the backside, you actually see some lake effect snow starting to build up here. That's interesting. But with the northwestern flows behind big systems, you normally get lake effect snow. And that's what we'll see here just north of the Finger Lakes region in upstate New York. All right. So here we go. Your SBC outlook. This is your day 2 outlooks. This would be for tomorrow. All right, you have a. Let me zoom in here. One moment. All right, let me get myself off here. Actually, we're gonna zoom out. I apologize. All right. So yeah, this is what we got. All right. So we have a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather, a slight risk. I'm happy that we kept it low. All right. I think after the first day when we had the slight risk, the double 6 and 7 day slight risk, after that I realized started to kind of calm it down and just realize that this isn't going to be the worst case scenario. So we're at the moment at a level 2 out of 5 risk. Can this be upgraded to an enhanced risk? Definitely can. And with the graphics I just saw, I think there's a very real chance that we may actually wake up to a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk for severe weather. But you got a slight risk that's extending all the way from south central Michigan all the way down through northern and central Indiana, northwestern Ohio, but through really all of Illinois and down to western portions of western Oh gosh, Western Missouri. All right, you got a very populated area here, densely populated. That's under the slight risk for severe weather. This is including Grand Rapids, Detroit, Chicago, Indianapolis. Here's to the west of Cleveland, north of Cincinnati, north of Louisville, north of Paducah. This is also including St. Louis and Springfield, Illinois. So, excuse me, some big time populated areas out here, big time, severe threat. And if we were to see an enhanced risk, it would probably be. I'll circle the area, but I think if we saw an enhanced risk, I think it's gonna be in here. I think that's where we'd see the enhanced risk. But again, we may not get up to an enhanced risk, and we just got to figure it out. All right. But that is your current SPC outlook. Surrounding areas of that in this green shade are a level 1 out of 5 risk, and notice that does extend into Western PA, so it looks like the NAM was correct on that line of storms matching up with the SPC forecast, so good agreement there. I do think this is a hard one to forecast, and there's still some question marks that are left, but I do think that this storm will be able to continue that line of storms all the way out towards PA, where that'll kind of start to fall apart as we get into the more unfavorable northeastern United States. That's just not going to be as favorable for severe weather and for thunderstorms. All right, so let's go to your tornado threat. 5% risk. That is considered elevated. Do we get up to an enhanced risk? Well, if we did, let's say we do, then maybe we upgrade this to a 10%. Then we're talking about possible tornado outbreak. I don't want to say that. I just don't want to say it because we don't want it to happen, but also we don't have great confidence that will happen and probably won't happen at all. But what we have right now is we have a level 2 out of 5 risk. It's focused a little bit further to the north and west, including northern Indiana, extreme northwestern Ohio, and you got northeastern Illinois. All right. No major cities, but just south of Chicago, just north of Indianapolis, and just to the south and west of Detroit. All right, surrounding areas in the green shade, you've got a level 2% risk for tornadoes. That's the same area of that slight and marginal risk for severe weather. Here's your damaging wind gusts outlook. This is a 15% chance for damaging wind gusts inside that entire slight risk area. That's including Chicago, Indianapolis, St. Louis, north of Paducah, Springfield, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Milwaukee. So big time areas in that. Surrounding areas in that brown shade, you're under a 5%, or that is a 5 to 14% chance of damaging wind gusts within 25 miles of a point. And finally, your hail threat, which is interesting. This will be slightly elevated with these prefrontal supercells. You got a hatched risk with a 15% risk of damaging hail. That's going to elevate just the chance of an enhanced risk, I would say, of being issued. But the hatched risk is basically a significant severe threat area that the SPC highlights. This is for northern Indiana, northwestern Ohio, southern Michigan, and then northeastern Illinois. Surrounding areas outside of the hatch risk, you're still in that 15% risk, and then that's in the yellow shade, going for all the way from central Illinois to southern Michigan, and then surrounding areas of that in the brown shade, you're under a 2% risk, or I don't know, maybe a 5. That's a 5% risk. Of seeing damaging large hail. All right. So finally, gotta talk about snowfall totals. Here we go for snowfall totals. This is on the NAM. Northwestern Minnesota going for 6 to 8 inches in this purple shade. Surrounding areas 4 to 6. Big time winter storm. This definitely already has, had caught the National Weather Service attention, issued winter storm warnings. But in this area, generally 4 to 6. But highest amounts really up to 9 inches, I would say. Maybe even 10 inches is possible. Even into South Dakota, still really 6 to 8. But the bulk of the state seeing 3 to 6 inches generally. And then off to the mountain northwest, we're going to get into those crazy totals, which we're not going to talk about today because, my goodness, yesterday I was kind of worn out by what I saw. 76 feet. 76 inches of snow, still, that's pretty ridiculous, I would say. Alright, but that's all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for coming to watch. We'll see you guys in the next video, so don't be scared, be prepared. Stay tuned, I'll try and post updates during the day tomorrow on any, highlights. We'll see if the SPC gets upgraded. We'll see if we get any. I'm sure we'll probably get at least one severe thunderstorm watch, a tornado watch, will most likely be issued as well. So pretty active day coming up. All right, definitely want to stay prepared because I do think there will be multiple tornadoes. I think damaging winds reports and damaging hail reports will come in as well. So yeah, big storm coming up, big weather day, and in the next update, we will definitely be getting into a next storm system that looks maybe even more increasingly concerning, and just a very concerning March and a big time pattern that we're going to be entering as we get into the new month. All right, so thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.